Oh, whoops. Timeout. I forgot to plug in my microphone. There. Hopefully that's better. Duh. I've been so wrapped up and I was charging my phone earlier and I forgot to unplug the charger and plug my microphone back in. So hopefully it's back to normal. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you're having an awesome day. What's up, Janine? Thanks for being right on top of stuff, and being right there. I wanted to stand because I just wanted my energy up and I wanted all that fun stuff. But it's like been raining off and on, and it was sunny when I got set up, or sunny-ish, brighter. But now like the clouds have come back over, so it's a little dark. So I apologize for the creepy crypt cave type of live today. What do you mean, oops? Oh, because I totally I didn't have my microphone plugged in. I'm crazy. So let me actually pull up the feed on my phone, as I always do, so that I can see who's watching. Janine and Colleen and Nate, what is up, you three? Hope you're having an amazing day. And everyone else who watches this on the replay or whatever, I hope you're having an incredible day. So as you can see by the title of this live, I am saying you need to be, if you aren't doing this, you are insane. What in the world could I possibly mean? Does anybody have any guesses before I tell and reveal what it is? Anybody guess? Nate, Colleen, Janine? Hope you guys are having an awesome day. So, I'm going to let you think about it, make a guess. We're going to do the intro, and then we're going to dive right in. So write your guesses as to what you think I mean by, if you're not doing this, you're insane. So Nate guesses telling stories. If you're not doing this, you're insane. If you are not telling your stories, yes, you are insane, but that is not what I was meaning for this one. That was a little too on the nose, Nate, but good guess. You were the one who, Janine, yes, the pressure. What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it going to be? So here we go. Thank you for taking a guess. If you are not being controversial with your business and your messaging, you are insane. What do I mean by being controversial? Let's see. Telling your story, taking my antipsychotic meds. That would make you insane for sure. You guys are awesome. So what I'm meaning is, if you are not being controversial and making people pick a side, so to speak, you are insane. You need to be doing this. And it's something that I have been struggling with, how to figure out how to do that, right? So I'm the friendly giant. Everyone thinks I'm awesome and loves me, right? Not everyone does. I know it's hard for you guys to believe, but not everybody thinks that the friendly giant is the greatest thing, right? And I have been more deliberate in some of the things that I've been saying and talking about in these lives, in my interactions with people. I'm being unapologetic for being expensive to work with, right? And then I have also I have a Voxer group that I go live in multiple times during the week and share insights and things like that, and my thoughts. But I was noticing that there are a bunch of the people in that group who are not listening to the messages. So I did a post in there saying like, hey, if you want to stay in this group, you have to like this thing, right? And if you don't, like, no hard feelings, I'm cutting you out. So if you use Voxer, and tomorrow is the cutoff day, I make my new list and kick out the other people. So I might have some spots in a very cool Voxer group for some of you if you would be interested in something like that. It's not an everyday message. It's just, I pop in here and there with a thought. I used to do it every day, but it was taking a lot of my time. And again, engagement was here and there. So it's just a place where I go with a thought. Janine is actually in that group and that kind of stuff. But I'm becoming more intentional, and like Colleen says, being polarizing. Like being controversial just to shock people is one thing, but being polarizing, having people buy into what you do and buy into who you are, that kind of stuff. When you are polarizing and you're not trying to appease and appeal to everybody, you start to, when the people who do side with you really buy in and they become your, rabid fans, your loyal fan base, and the other people will become your haters, right? And so what I'm talking about here is we've been talking a lot about our stories, right? I've been showing you tons and tons of examples, and hopefully you guys have been getting lots of goodies and goodness from all of these things that I've been showing you over the past almost 4 weeks. This is we're coming towards the end of the 4th week, right? And I know that you guys have got a lot of value out of it, and because I've been getting the messages, I've been seeing the comments, and I'm just super happy to see you guys implementing it. Like Colleen and Janine and Lance and Aaron, Aaron, right? There's a base of you who come on every day and who watch live and who watch the replays. I have a couple hundred people who watch these, right? But there's like a core of you who come every week. And I do these, or every day. And I do these for you guys specifically because you're the ones that are showing up. So I'm giving and trying to help you guys specifically. And if other people learn on the fringes, that's all the better, right? So I want to reward people for engaging with me, right? So you guys are awesome, and thank you for that. That was just a little side rant. But when it comes to being polarizing, being controversial in your business, you have to be super deliberate about it. There has to be some strategic stuff behind it, right? So if we think of our polarizing, controversial characters right now in society, I was looking up earlier, I was looking at a list of like the top 5, there was like a top 5 list of the most controversial Americans. And it's so funny. Who do you think would be number 1 on that list? Of all of the Americans who've lived, who do you think would be number 1 on the controversial list? Any guesses? Any guesses? It was not our commander-in-chief, Donald Trump. He wasn't even on the top 5 list of this one. And it was like a recent 2019, like April 2019, this article was written. Well, I was kind of like, maybe they're just waiting to see what happens throughout the whole thing to put his ultimate ranking, right? But though that list of controversial people, it was funny. Number 5 was George W. Bush. Number 4 was Barack Obama. Number 3, who was number 3? I just forgot. I can't remember who number 3 was. Number 2 was Andrew Jackson, and number 1 was Richard Nixon. Donald Trump didn't make the list at all, right? So, but we look at like those five people, right? They were very in their time. It's funny. We look back on like George W. Bush, and he was controversial at the time, or like people were divided over things. But now people look back and like, oh man, I wish we could have W back as our president, right? Some people have that point of view. People look at Obama. He was very polarizing, right? People either loved him or they found any excuse to dislike him, right? And again, his following, his status elevated, and all of those kinds of things. Richard Nixon, he did a lot of good, he did some good things like environmental things and policies during his presidency, but nobody thinks about any of those because he was super paranoid and he did stupid stuff and got caught, right? And so you look at individuals in society and their being polarizing and being controversial. You look at like those guys, right? Obama, Bush, Nixon, and things like that. They did things strategically, right? They had a platform. They had I forget the political terms for what their plan was, right? But they had all those things, and everything that they did was strategically done to further their agenda. Agenda, that's the word I was looking for. And it worked, right? The people who supported him rallied behind him, and they got the things done that they wanted to. The other side got mad and would get their hands up in fists and get all mad, and they would rally and try to stop it, right? W had lots of things that he fought against. And Obama had the same thing, right? So, but all of the things that they fought, their agenda and everything was strategic and purposeful, okay? What is the thing that I always say about your stories? You need to have a purpose, right? Begin with the end in mind, all those kinds of things. If you do not have a purpose, you're just waffling and you're throwing stuff in the wind. And we have a perfect example of a controversial character, the person that you all thought of when I said, who do you think is number one on the list, right, of controversial Americans who, like, regardless of political affiliation, like I'm conservative, but I lean liberal in some things as well, right? But the things that he does, I would be shocked if there was a strategy behind it, right? He's just sitting there with his phone doing whatever, and he just, whatever comes to his brain, he just puts right out. And it's super controversial, and it does a lot of damage, right? But also you can see the polarization and how his followers become even more, let's go make America great again. And then you see all of the liberal side, his opponents, getting so mad and so frustrated, right? And you want to be able to have that impact with your audience and your business and what you're doing. Now, I struggle with this, right? I have for a while, where I'm like, I want to help people. I want to help everybody. I know that my storytelling skills could take anybody's business to the absolute next level. Like, I know it because I've seen it. I've experienced it with my own business. I've seen it with my clients. I've seen it with brands that I've worked for, helping them tell their stories, like ClickFunnels. During the time that I did editing and things for them, I was putting these stories together that they were putting out to attract people and bring people into the world. And it's so cool to be able to see. My personal story with ClickFunnels has been used to bring in more people, right? And it's just fun. And I know that it impacts all sorts of businesses and all sorts of people, right? That's why I've been talking about e-com and real estate and everything in between. And I'm going to continue going on. I can't remember. Somebody commented the other day about books, using storytelling to sell books. That is an upcoming live, so I haven't forgotten about that, okay? Side note. But so you can see, like, for me, I'm like, I want to help everybody. And if you have your business, I guarantee you're either in that state right now or you have been. We're like, I want to help everybody. My product or my service will help so many people. Oh, la, 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 right? And so you do and put out your niceness and all that kind of stuff to get people to want to like you and to learn more about you and all those kinds of things, because you want to attract as many people as you can. Now, what I've learned as this week, I have been a lot more deliberate in what I'm doing with my message, how I convey it, and things like that. And yes, I'm learning and figuring things out and tinkering. But one thing that I'm seeing, and the thing that I'm loving, that I'm feeling and experiencing on my end, is that my energy, my passion, and my focus has gone up as I've been trying to find ways to be a little bit polarizing and to be controversial, right? Now, there are 6 of you watching live right now. Jan, you just hopped on. What's up? Tanya, happy to have you on. And Liesel. So Liesel's the best, isn't she? That's my wife, for those of you who don't know. She's awesome. Can't wait for you guys to meet her, like Janine, Nate, Colleen. Anyway, side notes aside. As I've been purposely thinking of what I could do or say to ruffle feathers, it's like pumped me up and got me like all amped up and excited, right? And so I look at that, like today in my Voxer group. I kind of talked a little bit about this, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today. And with things happening in the news, there are some very controversial things being talked about in society right now, like with the anti-abortion laws and all of those kinds of things. So it's just a timely thing for me to discuss with you guys. And I was sitting there today and I was talking about how I want people to tell their stories for their business, right? I want people to use their stories and their experiences and all the good and the bad that's happened in their life and make money with it. And to me, people who don't do that or who fight against it or don't understand it are just so clueless, and it frustrates the heck out of me to see them not doing what they know they should be doing because I'm not interesting. I don't know. People aren't going to care about my story, or all of those lies that you guys tell yourselves to not do it so that you can stay comfortable sitting on your couch or doing whatever the crap it is that you're doing, right? And it doesn't challenge you. It doesn't stretch you. It doesn't move you forward. And it frustrates me because I have seen firsthand from my own life and my business what sharing my story and putting it out there has done for my business, right? And I've shown all these examples over the last couple of weeks about how you can use the stories intentionally to sell more of your stuff, right? And still, there are people who don't, or who watch this and don't do anything. Like Colleen and Lance and Janine and Nate and everyone else that has messaged me over the last few weeks. You are doing it and you're seeing things happen, right? Lance talked about how as he started to apply these things, he already had lots of clients and customers, but like he's seen an influx as he's been going out and doing Facebook Lives and doing all these other things, right? He's seeing direct results of doing it. I'm like, yes, see, it works, you guys. But there are so many that watch this and just don't do anything. They're like, yeah, I probably should. I'll do something. What? And they change their mind. They do something else to distract them because they know it's uncomfortable. They know they need to put in some work, and it's something that they need to do, that they need to do, but they don't want to because it's easier not to. And so, like, in my messaging, I'm trying to really kind of hit that home so that you guys who are showing up every day, you understand it and you're doing it, and I'm rewarding you and I'm acknowledging you and pumping you up and all those kinds of things, right? And the people who are tire kickers or who need to be convinced or who don't understand how important telling their story is for the business, not necessarily they don't understand. There are just some people who don't. But once they get that teaching, so to speak, they still don't do anything. I don't want to work with people who are not going to implement the things that I share with them, right? If you sit down and we talk and you're wanting me to coach you or help you work on a story, if you're not going to do the things that I do, I'm not going to take your money, right? It's just not going to, I don't want that headache, and I don't want that for you. I want you to be in a place where you're ready to commit the time needed, that you might have to do some work on the front end or whatever, spend a little bit of time, but will condense your time in the long run to actually get stuff done. And I want you to be able to invest the change and make the changes and implement things, right? And if you aren't willing to do those two things, I'm not going to have you invest money. I'm not going to take it from you, right? But if you are ready to take that time and you see the value of spending the time in order to condense your time, but then also implement, like if you reach out to me and you don't end up like partnering with me or hiring me or doing the things that I suggest you do, why did you reach out to me in the first place, right? My whole thing is I'm the expert. I'm the one that you came to ask questions or get feedback or get guidance. If I give it to you, why would you not do it? You reached out to me in the first place, right? So that's my little example of how I'm trying to position myself, right? So with your business, Nate's he's working with his wife Tiffany, and they're doing this awesome health program. He's working on CBD, which is a very polarizing topic, right? Janine is the funnel commander. Colleen is working with the keto stuff and some other things. Lance is a plumber. Aaron, my buddy Aaron, he's working on some things, and actually next week he and I are going to spend like a whole day just like working through a whole bunch of stuff, right? And it's just it's fun to be able to see you guys start to implement the things. Now it's time to throw rocks or to have a little controversy into what you're doing. Now, you want to be a member of the community. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be the Donald Trump of the plumbing business in Wyoming, right? You don't want that reputation. But you can be a little bit polarizing where you attract more of the people that you want to work with, and you repel and push off and put a barrier up to keep the people you don't want to work with out, right? And so for me, that is what I am doing. And I want to go through, I don't have the videos downloaded because they were all a few minutes long. And I know that your time is valuable and I don't want to make this like a 2-hour long thing. Maybe I will, in the comments, I'll drop links to some of these ads. I was looking up some of the most controversial ads in the recent past few years. And I just wanted to look at a couple of them, or talk to you guys about a couple of them. Okay, so I'm just looking over at my screen where I have the article, a couple of articles up. Okay, so Nate, bang bang, Tiffany Ortel, personal trainer, says hello. What's up, Tiff? Happy to see you. You're awesome. So I wanted to just use a couple of examples, and some of these were controversial for the wrong reasons, like they went became polarizing for the wrong reasons. Others I think were done masterfully, and I just want to talk to you about. So in the last, let's just go 3 years or so, can you guys think of any ads, like TV commercials, ad campaigns, that were controversial, that caused a big stir? Does anybody have one that pops off the top of your head that you could think of? While you think of that and throw your guess out or something, we'll see if it's one of these 7 that I have on my screen right now. I'm going to grab a drink of water. Okay, so first off, I want to ask, just out of curiosity, are you guys enjoying this series of videos? I have thoroughly enjoyed them. I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of things reinforced to me, and it's been fun to see you guys implement it. If you think that this stuff is worthwhile, and if it's been helpful to you at all, I beg of you to share. And I don't beg you, I'm telling you to share it. It takes 2 seconds. Click the little share button, write something, this was awesome, and just pump it out, right? There are so many more people that need to be seeing this stuff, because it could help a lot of people, and the right people, the people that I can really help, some of them need help, and you know who they are, or you know them, or they know you. And so by you sharing and putting it out there, it benefits and helps their life, okay? So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Nate, he throws out the Carl's Jr. bikini model ads, right? Those were definitely controversial. Carl's Jr. has gone away from those a little bit over the last little bit. But I'm just looking at Tanya's comment. I think you're fantastic. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to catch all of them, but trying to. That's totally fine. That's the thing. Like, some of them are long, and I get it. I'm going like masterclass level in depth on a lot of these topics, so that's what makes them long. It's not me waffling the whole time, hopefully. But that's totally fine. Like, that's why they live on forever. I have them on YouTube as well. So you can go back and watch them and hopefully get some good stuff. So I appreciate that feedback. So Carl's Jr., that's one example of some controversial ads. Why were they controversial? They were very attractive ladies in bikinis or skimpy outfits, and they were washing cars or doing all sorts of stuff, and then also at the same time eating this ginormous, ridiculous, juicy cheeseburger or something, right? And getting sauce all over their face, all this type of stuff. There are, like, I have 4 kids, right? Age range is 15 to 5. We don't have a TV antenna and we don't have cable, so like TV ads and commercials, I don't see them unless I go to somebody's house and watch the Super Bowl, right? But when those things come on, you're like, cover your eyes, or as a parent, parents don't want their kids to see that kind of stuff, because then it could lead to some awkward conversations that most parents aren't prepared for, because they are sheltered or trying to shelter their kids from the world, right? And that's a great example of a controversial ad, Nate. So here's another one. It was for Pepsi in 2017, and the name of the ad was called "Live for Now." This was in 2017. Back in 2017, it's so funny. Way back in 2017, like less than really 2 years ago when this happened, because it came out in the summer, I think. But this ad featured Kylie Jenner, and she's like, so there's protests going on. In 2017, there was a lot of like the police brutality stuff going on in American society. Like there were people that were being killed by cops, and all sorts of stuff like that, police brutality, those kinds of things. And there were lots of protests, and so people were walking in the streets and holding the seats. So this ad shows one of these protests happening, and Kylie Jenner, if you don't know who she is, she's like a 22-year-old, and she's a billionaire. She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, but she turned that silver into platinum with her skills and with the things that she did, right? So she's doing a photo shoot on the street, or in this building right off the street where the protesters are walking by, right? And it shows all these different people from different walks of life joining the protests and all this kind of stuff. And this one guy, and everyone's got their Pepsis in their hands, and everyone's in their blue and red, like the color branding is like very well weaved into the whole thing. Like if you look at the people's outfits, you look at the cars, and like there's that blue and red contrast that Pepsi has. They use it like super well in that. And maybe that's another thing when I go into like maybe some psychology of color and things like that in ads. Put a pin on that. So, but it's done, and then this guy like nods over to Kylie while she's in her, and she's like noticing every once in a while, looking out at the protesters. But this guy nods, and like somehow that gets her to join. So she goes, and she's walking down the street, and they're approaching like this barricade with a bunch of police. And Kylie grabs a Pepsi and walks up and hands it to one of the cops. She just like hands it out like this, and the cop grabs it, opens it, takes a drink, and then all of a sudden the whole crowd, yay, cheers and stuff. So it was taking a social issue at the time and trying to say our brand can help unify all sides, right? That was the angle that they were trying to take, at least from my perspective. But it blew up in their face, and they actually took down the ad completely and just scrapped it because it became such a thing. Because I'm just looking at this like, it was condemned by everyone from Madonna to the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King. Like people were upset about it. It was done by Pepsi's in-house marketing team. They issued an apology to both the public and to Kylie. Was it Kylie Jenner or Kendall? Kendall Jenner, I think. But like still, it was just one of those things where it's like they had this ethnic diverse group, and then the Pepsi is the magical thing that like solved all of culture's problems. It blew up. But even when something blows up and it's in a negative way, they were being intentional with their message, right? They had an outcome that they wanted. They didn't get the outcome they wanted. They got an outcome, but it wasn't what they wanted. But the reaction and the polarization and the press and the discussion and all those things that happened as a result of that ad, I guarantee you Pepsi might have probably lost a bunch of sales. But then they also, people who love Pepsi, like, you know, it didn't affect them, or it made them like, yeah, Pepsi's the best, right? It was controversial and polarizing. It didn't work in their favor this time. It was an example of crap. We missed our mark, and not only just barely missed, but like we were way off. But it still got them some results. But you can see, like, through that, the outrage and the backlash unified all these people stronger together and in their purpose and what they were going towards. Okay, so again, when you're controversial and polarizing in that message that you put out there, where you pick a side, you draw a line in the sand and say, are you on this side, are you on that side? You know, it's one of those things that the people who resonate with you and will fight for you, you know, will run to your side. And the thing is you don't have to go and fight the people that are on the other side. You just know who's on your side, and you give them the best of you. And some people might see that and be, oh, actually, I want to come over. Or they're going to be like, oh, you guys are terrible, right? And it just causes more things. And if some people, they become extreme on the other side, other people that come into the conversation will either agree with you or think they're nuts, or vice versa, and you get more people and they are totally bought in, right? Okay, so the other one that I really like, these two are examples to me of something that was controversial, but I think it worked in their favor as opposed to blowing up in their face like it did for Pepsi. So if you remember, way back in 2018, it was to mark the 30th anniversary of Nike's legendary marketing slogan, "Just Do It." Everyone heard of Nike? I've got some, I can't lift my feet up that high, but I've got some Nikes on, right? And Nike did a Just Do It ad to honor and commemorate the 30th anniversary of that slogan. And so it was 2 minutes and 5 seconds. I'll drop the links to each of these. I'll drop the Pepsi one, I'll drop the Nike one, and I'll drop the next one in the comments so you guys can go and watch it. But they got all of these different athletes and icons in sports and faces, known and unknown, and just talking about how, you know, don't think your dreams are crazy. You know, just do it. That kind of thing. That's like the overall summary of the message. Now, typically that wouldn't be a controversial message, right? But does anybody remember this ad? If you remember this ad, give me some hearts and thumbs up here, because that'll help me know if I need to go into more detail on explaining it or move on to the next portion of it. So let me grab a drink while you guys respond there. Okay. So that ad was, Natalie, what is up? Thanks for hopping on. So the Nike ad, Just Do It, the message was not controversial in any way. It was the messenger that was controversial. Now, if you remember that ad, the person who was doing the voiceover and who was featured at the end was Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick was a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and he was great. Like, he came into the league and they got to the Super Bowl and they ended up losing to the Ravens and all this kind of stuff. They called him like Daddy Longlegs, because when he'd take off running, he had these long legs, and it was just kind of a funny thing to watch. But he was really good. He was very skilled. He went through a slump and all this kind of stuff. And during that slump is when all this police brutality stuff, or, you know, the injustice, the people that didn't feel like justice was being served, that people were being wrongly killed by police officers, all that was going on. The stuff that led to the Pepsi ad the year before, right? And so during the national anthem, Colin Kaepernick, as a form of protest, would kneel down during the anthem, and it made tons of people mad, right? Respect our veterans, respect the flag, all of these kinds of things, right? And that itself became a polarizing issue. Other players joined in, other players called him out and said it was wrong. The league, the NFL came in and like talked about what their policies were and their viewpoint, because they're like, just because he's doing it doesn't mean that we are. Please, please, please keep giving us money, right? They're trying to do damage control and all this kind of stuff. Colin Kaepernick doesn't get, he gets dropped or cut by the 49ers, doesn't get picked up by another team. So like his professional career is over at this point. He's still hoping to play football at the time. But he is the spokesman, the voice of this ad that talks about just do it, or your dream's crazy, do it, go, do it, right? And it made people so upset that Colin Kaepernick was the star of this ad. And it was funny, so I'm just going to read. A lot of people applauded Nike for backing Kaepernick, right? For saying, this is a dude who lost his career by taking a stand for his personal beliefs, right? And good job, Nike, for not judging him based on that, right? Other people saw it as a very, pandering way to get people to like Nike, that kind of thing. And then the criticism came from just are you kidding me? It made a lot of people mad. People were burning their Nikes or cutting them up, and everything that they had Nike, they were throwing away and saying, I'm going to Reebok or Adidas, or, they said they were going to switch brands. And there are people who left and have never come back, right? Now, this move, Nike knew, they're not dumb. They're a very successful business. They knew what could happen and what backlash they could face. But they knew that the buy-in of the people who supported them, they would have them for life, right? And then there are people who are like me that was I thought it was a very well done ad. I love the message, all that stuff. I could see the controversy in Colin Kaepernick, that kind of stuff. And while I don't necessarily agree with his stance on the kneeling down during the anthem thing, for me, I was just I just saw it as brilliance in marketing. But as a consumer, it didn't change. It didn't sway me away from it at all. There was nothing bad for me in it for me to be nope, I'm not buying Nikes. I'm going to take all the Nikes. I have 5 pairs, and I'm going to go shred them or throw them in the garbage or whatever, right? That other people did. And so it increased the level of commitment for the people who loved the brand. And then the people who identified with that political stance of that character, he didn't say anything about, I'm trying to remember if in the ad it showed him kneel down during the anthem or not. But still, even if it showed it, he wasn't saying just do it, you should do it, you should do this and this and this, and forcing a political agenda. He was just one voice, he was one voice throughout, but one face of many throughout the whole commercial. And his face is what made everybody so mad. So you can see that that's another idea of being polarizing in your messaging, in your branding, right? They weren't saying flat out, if you don't buy Nikes, you're stupid and we don't think you should buy them. No. They used a controversial character to tell their same message that they've been telling for 30 years, just do it. And it became this huge thing. And people were talking about it. And it divided the people who I'm going to go to Nike or I'm going to go to Adidas or Reebok or Under Armour or whatever. And the people are Nike for life, right? They're going to get more money out of those lifers and the people that they solidified than they would from having these people who would just be bouncing around from brand to brand based on price or things like that. They took a loyal fan base and they make it solidified at concrete. Okay, so does that make sense? Do you see that? How that controversy, the polarity in that message was good for their brand. Even though some people were mad and left, and they may have lost some business, they also gained more long-term and more loyal business as a result. Do you see what I'm getting at there? Okay. Then the last one that I'll talk about was one that happened earlier this year. And it was by the company, the brand Gillette. Does anybody remember this? You guys aren't giving me any thumbs up or hearts or anything like that. Have I lost you? Am I going too far down the rabbit hole for you guys? Let me know you're with me here, because this is just one of those things. So Gillette, and I know there's a delay on stuff, but like there hasn't been anything popping up for the last like 10 minutes. So I hope I didn't lose you guys. But maybe I'm being polarizing. Maybe you don't agree with me, and that's totally fine. So Gillette did an ad in 2019. Their tagline is "the best a man can get," right? And so there was this ad they did. It was 1 minute and 48 seconds, and in this 1 minute and 48 seconds, the visuals and the message created a huge firestorm on Twitter, and people were freaking out. Okay, so that's weird. It's not letting you push the buttons like normal. That is odd. I don't know why that is. Anyway, so Gillette put the name of the campaign, the name of the ad was "We Believe." And for those of you who are LDS, that's a very familiar phrase, right? No, but like "We Believe," that ad campaign, that commercial, was all about offering up their 2 cents and their commentary on the whole Me Too movement, right? It was something with... that's so weird. Sorry that the likes and hearts button and stuff is being odd for you guys. I'm going to test it on my phone because I've got it up. It's working okay for me. Weird. Anyway, so this whole campaign was a commentary on the Me Too movement. And it wasn't just about the sexual harassment, but about bullying in general and things like that. And how their whole point of view in this was that they think that men should step up. Instead of being silent, if they see something happening, they should try and nip it in the bud. They should stop people from bullying. If they see people harassing others, that they should step in, regardless of gender, preference, all of that kind of stuff, right? And so many people got so mad. I had some friends on Twitter that like ended up blocking me because I asked them questions into why it was so controversial in their mind. And I wasn't being rude. I was just like asking questions to gain a better understanding, because for me, I love understanding how people think and see the world and how they make decisions and how they do those kinds of things. So I was just naturally asking questions. Anyway, there were some of them that were so mad, saying like, you shouldn't be telling us how to live our lives. You shouldn't be telling us how we should interact with other people, or all of this kind of stuff. And let men be men, all sorts of stuff like that. And it was just so controversial. And then the other people, like, it gained obviously a lot of support from women. This is a men, Gillette, they have, razors for women and stuff like that. But their slogan for years has been "the best a man can get." That's their tagline since... I remember back in the 90s, those old commercials where you see the dude get the shave gel, put it on, and then Gillette, the best a man can get. Like, I can hear it in my head, right? And I bet some of you have too. So this is like not a brand that like nobody's ever heard of with a hot take. This is an established brand, and they had to have known it was going to be controversial in the eyes of some of the viewers. And the thing that's great about this ad campaign was that it was something that did appeal to a lot of the people who are affected by bullying and all that kind of stuff. It solidified, brought in new customers and clients, won them over. And then the people who were just like, I'm going to go to Dollar Shave Club instead. They'll get my money from now on. They voted with their wallets, and that's fine. Those other companies got a little bump. But Gillette also gained more lifelong, rabid customers that will be there forever because of one ad that was 1 minute and 48 seconds long. And they didn't it wasn't like all women absolutely loved the ad too. They came under fire from feminist groups, and all that stuff, because their female products still cost more than the male versions of the razors, right? So it wasn't like all women and feminist groups like, yay, or like they still had an uphill battle with even people who agreed with the message, right? But again, that division, that little nudge, that little thing, just saying like, we can be better. We believe that men could do whatever. Be the best a man can be, that kind of thing. And it made some people super mad. But again, endeared people in their hearts. So Cheryl comments, push buttons, never stop, right? That's exactly what you need to be doing with your business. And do it in a strategic and purposeful way. I was talking about Donald Trump earlier and how he, regardless of your political views, like he's a controversial character because he just puts whatever the heck he wants to out there, and there's really no purpose to it. He's just doing it to try and get people to like him or understand him maybe, but like that's it. Whereas George W. Bush or Barack Obama, they were controversial in their own right as well, but they did it strategically and to further an agenda and to create that division so people were really behind them and stuff like that. So you need to be doing that. So you need to be doing that with your business. And Colleen says the women that supported that Gillette campaign will buy razors for their guys, right? Their husbands, their boyfriends, their sons. It's absolutely true. So if you're not being polarizing in your messaging, in your branding, and what you put out there, you are insane. You're missing out on an opportunity to attract more of the people that you want to work with, more of your ideal clients. And if you haven't gone through that exercise, write down who, like everything down to like, even if you wanted like to get super specific in what type of clothing brands they liked, but like, their ability to pay you, all those kinds of things, you need to do that. But when you are polarizing and you have some little controversy, but you're strategic in it to attract more of the people you want to work with and repel the people that you don't. There are types of clients, like I mentioned, I don't want clients that I have to convince that they need to be telling their story. I don't want clients who don't get why their story and their brand message is important, and I have to convince them why they should partner with me to create it. I don't want to waste my time with clients like that. I want clients who value input, who pay people for advice and feedback. I want people who understand the value of story and a brand in order to sell more of their stuff and attract more people. I want people who already understand that and want that, or have been doing it, but they want to take it to the next level, right? So my messaging is specifically targeted to get those people engaged and bring them into my world, and to repel the people who are like, what's this story business? I don't think storytelling is really that. I don't do that. Right? All of the negative Nellies that are out there, we all know them in our different businesses. There are people who are always going to question and not understand, regardless of the amount of time you spend talking to them about it, that they're just never going to come around. So I'd rather repel them away completely and never have those conversations and talk to the people that want to talk to me, and who value and are ready to implement and take action and put in the time, put in the investment of time to condense their time in the long run, put in the investment of making the changes and implementing the things that I tell them. Like if I tell them put a comma here or pause here or take a deep breath and look deep here, like you do it, right? And then obviously people who not only have the ability to pay money, but are willing to pay money for that coaching, that guidance, for that skill set, right? I'd much rather spend all my time talking to those people than trying to talk people into my world and help them understand, and spend all my time, no, do you get it? You don't understand. This is what you need to do. And they just don't ever come around. When you create polarity and controversy in your messaging, you push those people away. You build that wall. Some people are still going to sneak over, right? Or sneak around. But there will be a lot less, and your conversations will be with the people that you want them to be with. Okay? Does that make sense? So, that is what I mean by, if you're not doing this one thing, you are insane. I'm becoming more direct about doing it because I'm wanting to take my business to the next level and work with the people that I want to work with. I've had hundreds of tire kickers and people who don't understand, who are nowhere near a position of being able to invest the time, make the changes and implement, and then also to invest on the money front to do stuff. I love them. I serve. I put this type of stuff out for absolutely free to help people gain understanding on their own. And hopefully they understand and they come into my life or come to me when they are ready and prepared. But I don't have to have those conversations all day, every day anymore. Okay? Colleen, I'm going to look at your question. So would you say to be polarizing to your audience within your business is by being firm in your vision for your business, who you want to support and how you want to support them? Yes. Defining who you really want to work with is the first step in being able to be polarizing to your audience. Because then you know the people that you want to work with, and you study them and you find out where they hang out, you think about what the things that they talk about, you see the things that they're posting and commenting on, you know how to speak their language. You understand them, right? You know which bait to put out there to reel them in. Now, so if your group really is biting on bacon, right? Who doesn't bite on bacon? Everybody does. Most everybody does. But it's like, if you cast that line out there with the bacon, you're going to get the people who want the bacon. If there are other fish out there who like corn or flies or whatever different bait, they're not going to bite on it. But if you just like grab a mixed bag of everything and you like throw out your net and you bring in everything that it catches, you're going to have some big trout or salmon or things that you want, but you're also going to have carp and garbage fish and license plates and soda cans and boots in there too, right? So you need to know and understand who your audience is, like how you want to best serve them, how you want to support them, like you said. And then that's how you can start to be intentional in your polarity with your message. Okay? So, like big fish or big things or certain types of game respond to different calls. Like elk respond, if you did a duck call to attract an elk, it's not going to work, right? If you want ducks to come, you use the duck call. If you want the elks to come, you use the elk bugle thing, right? So yes, know your audience. Being firm in your vision, yes. Like there's one thing about being stubborn and unyielding. You have to be confident in your vision and what you're wanting to do. Because you don't want to be going hard down this line and then have a total shift where you change directions completely. Because then you're going to lose all the people you gained along the way, possibly. And people might be uncertain, like, well, he was really, like, in the entrepreneurial space. Like Garrett White, if any of you know him, he cusses. He's very in your face with his teaching, right? And it works. There are people like thinking of Liesel, my wife. She's like the sweetest, kindest human on the planet. If Garrett White came in and was barking orders at her, she's not going to respond to that at all, right? And then, like, let's say a couple years, he has this big thing and he comes back and he's like super tender and like the softer side of Sears, right? And he's talking to my wife again. She's going to remember and be like, you were the guy that was cussing and yelling at me. Now you're being all nice. What's your deal? Like, it causes confusion. So you need to be confident in that vision for your business as well. That's a great question, Colleen. I appreciate you asking that. Was that helpful? Hopefully. What's up, Lori? Lori, I mentioned this earlier. If you're still watching, I haven't forgotten about your comment about using stories to sell books. That's going to be in an upcoming episode, okay? So I haven't forgotten about you, okay? And Evans, what's up? Thanks for hopping on, dude. So as I'm wrapping up here, just know, again, when you have intent in your message, when you have a purpose, when you begin with the end in mind, what do I want my audience to feel, think, or do? I guarantee you, Gillette Nike, Pepsi in the earlier one example that I talked about, they all had that conversation. We want people to buy more of our stuff. That's the do. We want them to think that we're really cool, right? And we want them to feel like we understand them, right? I'm totally just making that up. 3 possible outcomes that they want from each of these campaigns, and so that is having that intention and you implementing that with your business, but finding something that will get the people to come to you that you want to and repel the people that you don't want to, right? Polarity and controversy are the way to do that. So, yes, Garrett White did bring up some controversy. What is up, Danny? Thanks for hopping on. So, with that said, find a way. I challenge you. If you do this on social media, tag me in it because I want to see it, okay? You can even tell if you're nervous, like in your caption for it or whatever, be like, Nick Fitzgerald told me to do this. I'll take all the blame, okay? And that kind of thing. But tag me if you do something that has some polarity that you feel is polarizing, has a little bit of controversy, that will cause a little bit of division in your audience. Tag me in it. I want to see it, okay? If you don't and you're scared, we'll work on the mindset. It's okay. Don't be a baby. It's going to be okay. I know it's scary, okay? So that is what you need to be doing, and being purposeful and having a strategy and purpose behind it, okay? I'm starting to implement that, and it has been fun. I've cut out a lot of noise. Like people, usually I'll have, when somebody comes to me for video quotes, they're mostly local companies, right? But some people are like, how much does it cost to make a video? And I'm like, I don't know anything about you or what you're wanting to do and what your goals are. All this kind of stuff. And they'll be like, well, could you just give me a ballpark and stuff, right? And so I'm just kind of cutting through the crap. And I used to nurture that and go through all of the back and forth. But again, it's taking my time, right? Way too much of my time to have these conversations to then find out later that they are in no position to afford me or even really willing to even invest in anything at the time. So I've just been like, tell me what your thing is and tell me the budget range that you're wanting to work in. That way I can look at that response. It puts it back on them. I can look at that response, and if it says $200, I just that's well below my level of operation. If you would like any introductions, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find anybody that works for that little, but I might be able to connect you with somebody, right? And then they're like, oh, what? I'm new to this. What should I do? And I usually $10,000 is about my entry point for video production, right? So, as I've been purposeful in those conversations, I've weeded out and saved myself a lot of time not having to have conversations. Now, some of you might be like, well, you missed out on an opportunity to gain a customer. I may have. But I'd much rather have a customer who's ready and prepared to pay $10,000 out the gate than to talk to somebody who came in with a $200 or $250 number in their mind and talk them up to $2,500 or $3,000, right? Much more effective use of my time. And I'm not saying that you have to create a Gillette ad or a Pepsi ad or a Nike ad that has a very specific message that's going to be controversial regardless of of where it goes, right? It's more about sticking to your value, knowing what you want, how you can help people, and going and helping and putting the message out that serves and benefits the people who you can help and serve, as opposed to trying to appease everybody and bring them into your world, okay? So with that said, I'm going to go. It's 6:30. It's getting dark. You guys can probably hardly see me. I'm in shadows. The clouds just keep darkening. So with that said, be controversial. Tag me in a post that you feel is, or share with me in a message, any conversations that you've had where you've stuck to that. Okay? I want to support you and cheer you on because you guys are the ones who show up every day for me. I'm wanting to continue to show up every day for you and support you. Okay? So that is why I do this, again, is to show you that you can put this stuff to work immediately. You can put it to work immediately and get results. My buddy Lance is a perfect example of that, right? He is putting stuff to work and getting results. And then for the others that put stuff to work and they get hung up and they're doing stuff, that's why I'm here putting all this value, because you know what I'm talking about now, right? You really understand it, and you're like, okay, I know that if I want to hop on a 90-minute session with Nick, it's going to cost me $2,000. So I'm going to get ready and I'll say, hey, Nick, I am ready. Can we book a thing? Where's your order form, right? That happened earlier today with somebody. They just reached out and said, hey, let's talk, right? Without me having to go out and try and do stuff. That's why I do this, is to serve and give you guys the stuff and the tools that you need and the mindset change that you can do it now, not when you have 10,000 followers or $1 million in your bank account or any of that stuff. Right now, today, at 6:35 Mountain Standard Time, whatever time that translates to you watching this live or those on the replay, you can do it now. But if you still get hung up, you know that I'm here in your corner to help you out. Okay? That is why I do this. I love you guys. Thank you for always supporting me. Share this. It takes 2 seconds. And let's help more people understand that they need to be polarizing in their message instead of trying to appease everybody. Okay? So with that said, have an amazing rest of your Thursday. We'll catch you tomorrow.